We'll start with Paul Volcker, former chairman of the Federal Reserve from 1979 to 1987, and really an economic titan of economic policy in this country for the last 4 decades. He also served as chairman of the first National Commission on the Public Service, known as the Volcker Commission in 1988, and then the second Volcker Commission in 2002. In 2008, he was appointed by then President-elect Barack Obama as chairman of the President's Economic Recovery Advisory Board. Now, as many as you know, he's also one of our own, a New Jersey native, born in Cape May City and growing up in Teaneck, and maybe setting him on the path to be here with us today. His father was New Jersey's first full-time city manager back in the 1920s, facing obviously some financial challenges of his own. So let's get going. I think first to speak will be Mr. Volcker.
Well, thank you, John. And ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the opportunity to lead this off for a simple reason that I am a bit of a New Jerseyan. You know, I was born in Cape May, as John said, and I held my breath during Hurricane Sandy to see whether Cape May would still exist after the hurricane. Somehow it seemed to have missed it. I don't know quite what kind of miracle that caused or why that happened, but it missed. I was brought up in Teaneck. Just to expand, I've lived in Montclair, I've lived in Plainfield, I've lived in Princeton, I've lived in Jersey City. So at one point, the problems of the state were somehow something we discussed over the dinner table and subsequent dinner tables. New Jersey has its problems. You know that this study is part of a broader study, to some extent touching upon problems that are common in almost all states, but we concentrated on a handful of states to make it manageable for a really in-depth look. At first, we were not going to do New Jersey, but I did a little lobbying with the real director of this thing, Dick Ravitch, to make sure we did New Jersey. He said, we'll do it if we can get it financed, but people in this room help get it financed. Is why we're here today. We are not here to tell you substantively how to deal with your problems. That's a political decision involving spending programs, taxing programs, and all the rest. But there are problems, many of which are common to other states. There are pension problems here. There are problems in carrying out the federal mandates for Medicaid. There are problems of infrastructure. All of these are rather endemic, big education problems in the state of New Jersey. So all of these deserve, I think they've received some attention in the state, but they're going to continue to get attention, need resolution. So I think we hope that our study can contribute a little bit to, more than a little bit hopefully, to public understanding of these issues. Dick Ravitch has really been the spark plug of this effort. His life and soul has been in state and city government, so he is very aware of the kinds of problems that public administrators and local and state politicians have in dealing with the challenges before us. So I will shut up and let him come up here, but I do hope that this contributes in some way to better understanding of the challenges that all of you in the state of New Jersey face. So thanks very much for coming, and Dick, I think you're on the spotlight.
Is it possible to overcome the state's fiscal challenges without at least revenue enhancements going forward?
Some of the themes are recurring. Pension problems are common. I think New Jersey's among the worst percentage-wise. This business of not making any contributions to pensions for some years obviously leaves an enormous hole. But other states have pension problems, and the fact that interest rates are so low and the stock market hasn't gone any place for a decade obviously has not helped, which is the reason most states have the problem. The other problem is Medicaid. That's common. The standards are set largely by the federal government. It's largely financed by the federal government, or partly financed by the federal government, but still there's an area that is not, and that's been a perpetual problem and a growing problem in all states. On the other hand, there was a mention of the gimmicks here. I think we could find lots of examples in other states where the gimmicks were more outrageous than in New Jersey. So that's on the kind of plus side of New Jersey. But otherwise, I do, when reading the report myself, I was not familiar with this as I might have been, but the administration of the state budget seems to be more coherent and is open relative to other states, which is a plus. It doesn't produce revenues or reduce expenditures directly, but obviously the better the management is of the state finances, the better off you are, and New Jersey may score fairly highly on that point. Otherwise, New Jersey has particularly heavy expenses for education. I don't think there's any doubt about that, K-12 education. It's a result of Supreme Court decisions and other factors that may be peculiar to the state.